Hey, this is CT, and it is 7:12 Eastern Time. Um, Comic book writer, he's Twitter saying something about his Batman 53, which was, the whole thing where a lot of people are saying that, Batman is an atheist. He's saying, lots of people saying Batman 53, which I wrote, shows Batman is an atheist. That's not how I read that comic, but I don't think my reading of it is the most important one. Anyway, I hope you read the whole thing for yourself and decide for yourself. Um, to be honest, there is a good chance that I do want to read the comic book to see what's up, and I think there might be something of a following to that story to Batman. There's so as I said in my previous video that I did yesterday, there is a good chance that people did take that out of context, like I said, and I said that there was a possibility. So I mean, yes, again, Batman, like Batman is more agnostic than anything. It's more consistent, for him to be like that. So yeah, because the thing is, like, he has fans, and from both different sides, and they do have like different sides to it. But like I've known the character for such a long time. Again, saying something about the character that I've been saying that he's been agnostic for years. I've been saying that the whole entire time, which having him be like that is having him be an agnostic is something that I think like a lot of people would agree on. Not really choosing any sides. I mean, like I said, in my previous video again, is that the thing is, you have um this sort of thing going on with with people taking things out of context, writing some uh, bullshit and stuff like that. That it's not even thing. It's not even there. Although people could be trolling around the internet and everything, which people do these days. Whether any type of social media, anything, and these days there are people out there that are not writing stuff like that are facts, and they're putting like false info everything, and it's just you know it's just like that these days and stuff. So I mean, if there was anything, I would have liked to talk to Tom King about his Batman 53 story, going on with this whole thing. Um, because I'll tell him, if he's thinking otherwise, I'll tell him like straight up, no, Batman. I've known Batman for years. I've liked the character for such a long time. I mean, if there was anything, either if he was religious or uh, either if he was religious or an atheist or something, he would, I don't think anybody would like him any less. But a lot of people would choose not to accept that. But people would accept since he has fans, atheists, and fans who are um religious and stuff like that. There's got to be some. some consistency, saying, to meeting to the right in the middle, so people could have, so both parties and stuff like that could have a good, conversation about the character and everything, and not just some kind of like a, you know, like war, between fans and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of like a given as it is already an option. So yeah, um, he, as Tom King said, that he didn't read it like that. He didn't, and in some cases, like he did not intend for that to be. So I mean, yeah, it's just something to keep looking at. And if it was anything, I mean, he did post up a picture of of someone with Batman, saying that he needs to, like, basically, like, remind himself um of who he is. And he's saying that he needs to remember who he's saying that I need to remember who I am. That's what he's saying, like, in his mind and stuff. That so he needs to remind himself with all of that, because it's like, it's kind of sad to even say something like, oh well, time to forget your parents and all of that, and to drop it and whatever. I mean, this is the stuff that's kind of happening, and whatever, as to the whole thing about Batman. But again, that's just what it is, you know. And like I said in my previous video, again, it's just that he he's probably, with Bruce Wayne Batman, he's probably like trying for people to not figure out who he is really, so even though if you're correct, he would say, oh no, you're wrong. Okay, like, so he could definitely be doing something like that, and whatever. And if he was actually thinking about going in that route, that direction, I don't think, you know I think there's a good chance he, either or direction, there's a good chance he's gonna have to go back to being more, agnostic than anything, you know and that's just the way how it is. And if that's it, like, that's okay, like, but I think, like, there are people who would make a big deal about, if you choose any other side, so, to being whatever. um and yeah, but the thing is, like, yeah, you know what, when I looked at that other guy's video saying that DC Comics did not confirm anything, whatever. Yeah, I, I'm thinking that he's right in that sense. So, I mean, that's the thing, because yeah, it's just that, like, um, I mean, that's just how it is. Anybody could definitely troll the whole thing, and that's just it. It's just one of those things where, um, you have to see for yourself. Um, so that's just what it is, and I'm just hoping, like, with his next book, you know, I think he already finished that next book already. It probably might be out. Uh, probably might be out on Wednesday, or it's probably gonna be out next Wednesday, or something like that. Thing is, like, you see this thing happening and whatever, and I mean, it's just one of those things where we'll have to definitely see in the next story, since it kind of like ends at a certain point, you know. But yeah, a lot of people, they do definitely take things out of context and whatever, saying this and that and whatever. So hopefully stuff like that is true and people are just bullshitting out there, and that's just what it is. So I mean, even if you tell those people to stop bullshitting, you know, they're not going to. They're going to keep continuing that kind of crap and whatever. And, so yeah, maybe things like in the comic books and stuff like that hasn't been retconned, even though that they do, even though that like all these other people said, oh well, this thing has been retconned, this, whatever. There's a good chance that it's not, and whatever. So I mean, yeah, anything. So to tell you the truth, if there was anything, that's just it. And yeah, it's just how people are and everything and whatever. But I put in my thing, uh, to Tom King, saying that Batman is agnostic. That's who he is. And I would say that most of them are, because you know you can't go through all of that and to like kind of almost like question your faith or anything like that. Um, so I don't know. In most cases, again, like I'm thinking about reading the comic book and everything, and to say, well, whatever. But he's waiting for responses from people to say, well, um, that what do you guys think? Is is Batman this or is he that? So that's what he's going with. For me, I'm just agnostic, because it makes to me it makes perfect sense. Um, and again, like I mentioned, if he was either or, religious or an atheist or something, I would kind of like take that offensively, but it's not so much of a big deal, because I don't want to like have like some kind of a war and stuff like that, and I'm kind of like trying to prevent that, and yeah. So in order to, for people not to have like this war, salty as it is, people out there are just like so freaking over dramatic. They're and that's just what it is. They got nothing else better to do. They got nothing else better to say. Um, and it would stir up a lot of negativity and whatever. It's already like it's already out there, as it is. When you talk to people and whatever. Um, from my standpoint, I already knew about stuff like this before, like stuff like Facebook and MySpace and what have you even came out. You know, and that's one of the things. Like I told my brother about this stuff and whatever, and yeah. But people have their own opinions about so many things and whatever. Even he has seen that stuff for himself to confirm that I was right about how there are people out there that are like that and whatever. So yeah, people just like you know they just like being like whatever. So uh, in order to not have like this kind of thing going on, you know, it's better off if you were to try to keep the fans at bay with with such belief as to meet each other in the middle, and that's just what it is. Getting into like these fights or whatever it is to you know, it's not gonna solve anything. It's gonna be real stupid and stuff, and you want to avoid all of that. And there's a good chance if this thing was actually, really confirmed, you know, fans might, they, fans or even like comic book shops and all that stuff might fight each other and whatever, you know. And yeah, and the thing is, I just kept mentioning that whole thing that you know it had to have been. There's a good chance it had to have been taken out of context and all that stuff, and then well, there you go. Mm, that's so. I mean, I can't take Tom King's word for granted, if anything. Uh, I mean, he's done his own thing, and if there was anything, I would have. I mean, I did see him at MegaCon, but I didn't talk to him, and the questioning the whole belief in like in a supreme being, higher powered God. That is something different. Uh, so that like a comic book like that was not really out until like pretty much after what happened at MegaCon and even Comic Fest. So that's just what it is. MegaCon this year again. MegaCon and Phoenix Comic Fest were out at the same time. They were, so they opened at the same day, ended at the same day. I think it was the same time as well. So, uh, so yeah. I mean, for me, honestly, I have like mixed feelings about Tom King. So even though he's a writer, I know how writers write, and sometimes you just can't take their word for it. You know, you can't take their word for granted because they could also be trolling you. So it's kind of like you got to be careful out there and stuff, you know. And so even like one of the things that he said, with this particular thing that he posted on Twitter is that I kind of have to respect that where he's coming from because he's not because he probably is being honest about him like not reading it that way and stuff like that and he's making the fans choose what it is to be honest and I had to in all honesty I had to respect that because he's making the fans decide what that where what they're seeing where that's coming from so yeah um and that's just it with the that's just with the character as it is so um he, I think like it is pretty clear to say that for the fans, but in most cases, he has to be Batman has to be agnostic as after all what he's been through throughout the years and everything, whether you talk about Elseworld story or anything like that, and that's just what it is. So to be honest, and um, I I will go and to a comic shop and whatever, and look for that comic and read it because I haven't really been keeping up with any of the Rebirth stuff again, and it's just I don't like the stuff that they did, some of the stuff that they put in, and some of that things that seem so much like fanfic writing and everything like that. But if there was anything, you had to keep Batman as real as possible and stuff like that, and um, you got to try to keep up with the times and stuff like that, and try to find like something that's in the that is basically like in the middle, so people won't you know get so offended and everything, and that's just what it is. So um, for me, I'd rather not keep my hopes high or for anything. Just wait for something to happen and whatever. So that's just how it is with me. I'm as patient as possible and everything and whatever. So it and anyways, I hope you guys have a really good day and or a good night, whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this off right now, and I'll see you guys later.